Hey, I'm Suzanne.
And I'm Annie.
And we have
111 years of experience.
And on today's episode, we have a special guest.
Melissa Hamby.
This is Melissa. And I've known Melissa for 20-something years. She's married to one of my music teacher colleagues. And we want to have her on today to talk about her son, James, and just... and his story, because it's really pretty cool.
So let me start out this. Did you have an idea before James was born that you were going to be like your life would your child is going to impact lives, but would you have ever imagined that he would be able to impact as many lives as he did?
No. James was born very prematurely at 22 weeks. We were in Ohio when I went into labor. All of that was all by, I don't want to say surprise, but unexpected.
Unexpected.
It was a surprise, too.
Because you were on a trip to see
my grandfather, yes.
Okay.
He was very ill, and he passed away, my grandfather. But, no, and I've told my husband many times, you think you're going to teach your children? And James... Besides spiritual stuff, as far as like God and Jesus, James will be my greatest teacher and hero ever in life. And now that he passed September 26th of 2024, the amount of people lives he's touched, every day I meet them.
Right.
Just in subbing, I sub and they know my husband, they know my son or knew of him. It's, I mean, we had like 600 people at his visitation or funeral, so I knew it was a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
My husband's been a teacher here in the community a long time, and I was home with James because I gave up my career. We were in the hospital a lot, but I still have people that I didn't know.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. That he made. Wow.
That I think that as you walk through all of that, like you start out and you kind of like you're expecting and you think, oh, this is going to be a special person and everything, but really. The idea that they can have so much impact, it's kind of beautiful. It's kind of beautiful.
And mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling, yes.
Yeah, you just go, what?
So why don't you start at the beginning? So he was born premature.
Yes. He was born in 2006, December 29th. He wasn't due till that spring. We found out he was a boy, and 2 weeks later he was born.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So we went to Ohio, Akron, Ohio, where I was from, like the day after Christmas. Because my grandfather was 92, and he was very ill, and he ended up passing away that spring. But at 92, that wasn't unexpected. We got up there, and the first day I went into labor, I was rushed to the hospital, and he was already in the birth canal.
Wow.
He was coming fast.
Yeah.
He was ready?
Very, very unexpected. 600 miles from home. So they put me on bed rest, and day and a half later, we had a 1 pound, 3 ounce baby at 22 weeks.
1 pound,
so how
3
big was he?
ounce.
Like about this big?
10 and a half inches.
Wow.
A 20 ounce Coke, it weighed more than him. I think he was like 19 ounces. And a Barbie doll was longer than him.
Wow.
So little bitty.
So little. Oh my goodness.
And he was born at Akron Children's Hospital. And they are like the same level as Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Oh,
I never had to go there as a kid. I was very blessed, didn't have health issues. So I think James would kind of joke, made up for all of us in lifetime. So, as you could imagine, having a baby born, there was even discussion, would he come out alive? What did we want to do?
Weeks, yeah.
We were just like, so we chose to keep him if that's what God wanted. And of course, when he was born, it was the first, it was just critical all the time.
Right.
I remember he came out alive, obviously, and it was just, he was very critical. I mean, he was in the NICU 7 months.
Wow.
Till July 2nd. And then...
So how did you guys work? Because you live here.
Yeah.
But he's in Ohio.
You live in Tennessee, but
did you just
stay
stay in Ohio?
Well, about...
That's been so long ago.
Yeah, in February, the team started talking to us, and they're like, where are you guys from? And because we kind of, I guess they maybe were waiting to see, honestly, if James was going to survive or not, to be honest.
Sure.
We're like, we live like in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and they're like, and we're like, Vanderbilt, they're like, okay, we got to get you home closer home because it was a hardship, they called it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he was medically flown down here on February 27th.
Okay.
Wow.
And I didn't get to fly with him, and neither did my husband.
Wow.
First I was going to, but then there was the weight limit because the plane had so much medical equipment and medical folks.
I didn't think of that.
So Morris drove down to meet him at Vanderbilt, and I saw him off. Mm-hmm. So I just remember, like,
wow.
I saw him off from, I mean, he was still only like 2 pounds.
I was going to say, he couldn't be.
Oh, no. And so, and they're going to fly, these strangers are flying our baby 600 miles.
Yeah.
So
in a helicopter.
Yes. Right.
Oh,
So my mom and I saw him leave from Akron Children's, and then I remember I got on the Southwest flight from Cleveland to Nashville, and I just put the paper up and I cried because I was like, I can't be with my son. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
And then my husband was at Vanderbilt when he arrived, and then and then Vanderbilt was our place we went to all the time once we were here. So yeah, that's kind of that part of it. But yeah, he was, he had 15 surgeries when he was in the NICU, if I remember correctly.
Oh my.
I think he had 31 total. He had hydrocephalus and his shunts kept getting infected. So it was
Okay.
that. But he had a lot of other stuff. I mean, almost every preemie problem. He was
Sure.
legally blind. He had a feeding tube. I think upon his death, he had 40 diagnoses. So.
Oh, wow. Wow.
He just unfortunately kept adding them.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
So that was kind of the story, but it was a long NICU stay, and there were many, many times we didn't think he was going to survive. And,
Sure. It was a roller coaster from the first day, from the first minute.
People say that, and I'm like, sometimes I used to think roller coasters are fun, but I understand that analogy. But
We weren't having so much fun then. No. That was not a fun roller coaster.
No. And it was interesting how God worked, because my husband's medical time was just, and I was working full time, and my leave it just all worked out, and I stayed on FMLA for the insurance because we had two insurances at the time, and then I resigned from my job, and I was his primary, I don't like the word caregiver because I was his mama, and I feel like I was his full-time mama, like
Yes, yes.
But you had to get trained, didn't you, on all of his,
We did.
because there's so many things.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or you would have had to, like, hire a nurse or something, right?
We tried home health nursing, but yeah, he came home with an NG tube, which is go down your nose, and then I think he wasn't even home 2 weeks. He was back in for a G tube because we were trying to bottle feed him. We had to learn about the feeding tube, CPR. He was on oxygen. Morris and I got more medical training than we ever thought.
We never thought you would ever
could
get.
probably be a paramedic now. You're probably qualified.
And then by the end of his life, it just breathing treatments and meds. It just kept. I go to appointments like with my folks who are elderly, and they're like, "Are you a nurse?" I'm like, "No, but I know." Yeah, I mean, when you're around and you pay attention, I think James at one time had 14 or 16 specialists.
Right. Wow.
He had seizures. He was legally blind. He had. I mean, people are like, "What are his diagnoses?" I'm like, "Well, there's
What
the
is
major
not
ones."
his
Yeah. I mean, almost every. He didn't have cardiac problems. He had a surgery, PDA. His heart was pretty good. His lungs at the end got worse, but overall, he had GI issues, but basically except for his heart, lungs, and liver, everything else was somehow impacted or affected.
Right.
The heart was, but he didn't have cardio problems for the most part. So everything else, I think, I used to say we used to see every specialty, but we never had to do oncology, but it felt like everything else, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Cardiology. Yeah. But, yeah. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah. How have the people that say like his teachers and things like that, how have how did they impact you guys? Because we all kind of talk about teaching stuff a lot on our podcast here, and I was just curious here because honestly, I've talked to some of the people who had him as a student, and they absolutely adored him. Yeah, absolutely adored him.
Well, we were very blessed. We had a lot of, and we're still in touch with 3 or 4 of his teachers now. James had wonderful teachers. There was only 1 year, but overall great teachers. 1, 2, 3 or 4 of them came to his visitation.
Oh, yeah.
2 came to his funeral. We loved them. They treated James so well. I've subbed with one of them.
Oh, that's
great. And she
great.
said it makes her heart happy when she sees me.
Yes.
And
awesome.
James, the way he would say love, he'd say "la la love." I got a tattoo that says, I know you can't see it,
La, la, la.
but I was leaving her school last Friday, and she goes, "Melissa, I la la," and it stopped me in my tracks because she knows James's lingo, and that just it's very special for
so
me.
Good.
Yeah, so sweet.
Good.
And I always feel his presence, but in those moments, but it's still his teachers. And I've been in subs with some of them or seen them, and they're always just so kind. And his last one was Homebound, and we've had lunch together and lifelong friends.
Good.
And we really appreciate what they've done.
Yeah.
It's a hard work.
It is.
Now that I
It's
sub and sped, it's being on both sides is an interesting place to be too.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but as teachers, we were very blessed. And back when he went to Christiana at EA, she was one of the first ones. She didn't live here anymore, but we asked her. She had 3 kids of her own, just to go out because it's hard to get dates.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
obviously our marriage, it's hard when you have a special needs child. Very hard. And we asked her, and we're like, her name's Miss Mandy, and would you ever? And she, oh, I'd love to. And she would send her own kids to her in-laws to come back to see me. But she was like, I just love it, And I'm still friends with her on Facebook. She went back out of state, but yeah, I think just lifelong friends, to be honest.
Yeah.
And they come up and like almost every time, because he had PTs and speech.
Right.
If they see me in subbing, they come up and they just hug me. And I love that.
That's so
I'm not a really big hugger, but when I see people like that, I love it.
But it is in a way, with the situations that he was in, it created a community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that you wouldn't have been a part of without him.
Well, and like I said, I've subbed in schools that are in a different district that James didn't attend. And I'm like, James? Like, it's just the impact. You don't know. Some people that work at special kids, because that was a big part of his life.
Oh, special kids.
And camp. We have actually, we started a scholarship in his name, the James Marshall Hamby Scholarship for Campability.
Oh, yeah.
And, we did the walk that last month, but, I worked at special kids, as somebody from the city, and I'm like, you just never know. Or someone knows my husband.
Exactly.
You've been an educator in the community for so long. And my husband's a people person.
Right, yeah. And he would tell, we would be in meetings and stuff, like a couple of times a year that all the music teachers get together.
Yeah, and everybody would ask, I'm sure.
If something was going on with James, he always let us know, what's up with what was going on.
What was happening.
So we always
all
knew.
the time.
Yeah, so we always knew.
Well, the last couple of years of his life, I think we were counting, he was nice to you 12 times in the last 12 to 18 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It just felt like there was always something going on.
Yeah.
I commented to Morris when we went to Nashville Sunday, I said, I don't miss coming here to going to Vanderbilt. We don't go to Nashville much anymore, because, I don't know, it just,
Yeah, I would.
And this is a side note, but they have a memorial every year for children that have passed, and they have it on the campus. And I told somebody they don't think that out, because if you think I ever want to go back there,
right?
Yeah.
No,
they should ask bereaving parents. Maybe more about that. But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a side note that popped in my head.
Yeah.
Because he did pass at the children's hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing because all of your time was just focused.
You went from this.
You were hyper vigilant. Focus.
Hyper vigilant, focus, 24/7, almost a nurse, helping out in every way that you could, and then to be where that just is different now.
It's been an interesting, that's one of my favorite words, transition. So James passed September 26th, and a good friend of mine, who was his godmom, a good friend of ours, she goes, Melissa, I don't think you should sit there and not do anything. Because before I had a career in HR, and I gave it up for James. And, it's just what we had to do. And I would do it a million times over, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a toxic corporate environment. Anyway, besides that. So, he passed, and she's like, what about subbing? It's flexible. And I was like, Because I always, it was interesting. I used to say, I felt like I'm going to have a new career in my 50s. I turned 50 last May.
Okay.
And I was like, interesting how sometimes God maybe puts that in your head, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But I knew James wasn't doing well. And she's like, what about subbing? I was like, maybe. Because it was weird. Right after he passed, he had meds 4 times a day. I remember I'd be looking at the clock, and I was like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. And
that's weird. Yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. My older brother, when he passed away, he had medicine that he took so many times a day and had to have at certain times. And so even now, I'll look up at the clock and remember it's 4 o'clock pills. Do you know what I'm saying? So so I totally get it.
Yeah.
And I told people those first couple months, we have this red couch we've had forever. I've never sat in my adult life on my red couch so much, and I've read a lot. But I remember that fall break, Morris and I went to Chattanooga.
Yeah.
That when James was here, he was almost 18 when he passed, 3 months shy. Morris and I went to Chattanooga. Morris is my husband, by the way. For one night. We'd only been apart one night, on a trip.
Wow.
Besides hospital, and that doesn't count. Oh my goodness.
No.
So I remember And it was right around Halloween time. We took a ghost tour or something, and we survived the ghost tour. So that before they start talking about children's spirits, and then we're like, okay, we're done. It hasn't been a month right now.
No.
But the trip was fun. But I remember I was like, what do I want to do? So I thought and I prayed. I help with my parents. They're elderly and have some health issues. So I was kind of, I don't want to say thrown to that, but I help with that.
Sure.
And that's an honor because I had great parents. And my mom's condition was worse. So I was like, well, there's that. But, more money is always helpful on a teacher's salary with these prices.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
I was like, so here's the funny thing about subbing. My friend who suggested that, she's an HR, director. And my resume, I'm like, how do I put all this caregiving into a resume? Because I didn't know how that translated. Even though I have an HR background, it'd been a long time.
Sure.
So she's like, yeah, I'll help you. And I have a lot of good skills that nurses and that.
Yes.
And the detail, the detail and the acuity of care and all that. And she helped me translate that. I'm like, okay. So she's like, try Rutherford County. And on their website, they had, we need it. So I called the lady and asked him. And I do have a master's, and I'm like, I'm just kind of, and I said, I told her my son passed. This was right after Thanksgiving, early December.
Okay.
I said, I got to fix my resume though, and I was going to wait till January of next year, the 2025, because this was right before Christmas. And she was like, well, if you do get it, submit it, because I know they were desperate, and I really did want to do special ed, and I do primarily still. I'm like, okay, so I submit it. Literally 5 minutes later, I get an email. You want to have an online interview? Well, I wasn't really expecting all that because the first Christmas without James and, Thanksgiving. But everybody says the first are the hardest, but they're all hard, if I'm honest.
Yes.
I was
they are.
like the first was shocking. I'm still kind of in shock. But,
Sure.
every holiday is really hard, honestly. Yeah. And some days are really hard. Grief is nonlinear. That's for sure.
It's not, and it comes in when it comes, and then you just kind of have to ride it out till you move on, till your soul lets you move on to the whatever's happening next. But you just have. It's also like I feel like that grief is a way of our hearts with so much love, and it's just nowhere to go. It's like you've loved so hard and so well that like now all this. What do I do with this? I've got so much, and it does hurt because we love so much.
Mm-hmm. So then, needless to say, December I was subbing.
You started in December?
They did the background checks, and I subbed a couple weeks. Yeah, I started about December 12th, I think.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that soon.
It was lickety split flash. Made my head kind of spin around. Well, I didn't expect it to, but it did preoccupy me a little bit. And at first I was only going to do 1 day or 2 a week, and then I did a little bit, and then I had to have a big surgery in that last spring, so then I scaled back a little bit. So and I'm still doing it, and I do enjoy it. It's flexible, which is good.
Yes.
I don't want to do it forever. It's a bridge, and I don't know how long it'll be. But yeah, I enjoy it. But I didn't expect to get into it that fast, but it just kind of happened, I guess.
Right, exactly.
I think anything that's meant for you moves
quickly.
It moves so fast.
Yeah.
And like people well, they need you. And I'm like, yeah, but I also need myself, and
That's
I need
right.
to heal.
Well, I mean, for so many years, you had to put, he was your top priority.
Absolutely.
And so now it needs to be, it's Melissa's turn.
And I need to heal, and our marriage is still lots of healing.
Sure.
And I'll never fully be healed from losing James, but there's progress to be made. But, and getting back in the workforce after like 18 years, that was eye-opening too, especially in education.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's probably good.
And I've never been in education, so it was...
Yeah, you've just been married to education.
Yes.
You've actually been in education.
Married to an educator.
You're married to education.
It is. And being the mama of a special needs boy, and then being in it, like, I hear both sides, and I'm like... Oh, it's been eye-opening. I can say that.
That's a whole new perspective.
There's a lot of really good folks in SPED, and but it's a daunting, hard.
It is.
Thing.
I always think that SPED is a calling. I always feel like you're kind of molded into the person who's able to do that by the forces that are in your life, and so and if you are really truly supposed to be there, it feels so natural that you really don't want to be anywhere else.
Yep.
And everybody else looks at it like, oh, this is big, scary, and I don't know if I could do that in your life. But if you're molded to it, that's what's so comfortable. And that's why I stick. I've always kind of stayed with one foot in SPED at some point, and I still, because that's my people. You know, that's my people.
Well, there's been a few people who didn't know me, and they're like, "You're really comfortable," and then I'll be like, sometimes I don't feel like talking about my deceased son to strangers.
I understand
Right.
that.
Sometimes I'll be like, okay, and I'm like, here's the story. Because they're like, why are you not a you know, and I'm like, okay, and I'll share his story. Because sometimes I don't want to share James's story or our story, but then I'm like, okay, I'll share his story.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because it's hard.
It
Yeah,
is. It's hard.
Yeah.
It is.
But I usually end up telling it, so.
I notice, like, the more I've told I always call it, you know, why I'm molded into this, this particular profession, why this fits me and everything. The more I tell it, the easier it is. But I totally agree. I totally know what you mean. Like, sometimes I'm just like,
do I really want to open that door today? I don't know. I don't know if I want to
maybe
open that
today
door.
is not the day. Or then there's times when, like, somebody will ask a question that just opens up a bunch of doors, and then before you know it, you're just telling them everything. Yeah, that's me. That's me. In what ways are you guys honoring James?
Okay, so that's a great question because I love to share that, and I don't go around broadcasting it, but I'll share it with you guys because this is a trusted, sacred space. So we stayed at the Ronald McDonald House a lot.
Oh.
Every Christmas, his birthday was the 29th.
Yeah,
of December.
yeah,
His.
yeah.
That verbiage is still weird, you know,
Yeah,
because James is here and he was here and he mattered and everything. So we give to the Ronald McDonald House. Our church, we have his ashes in the outside columbarium, and there's a little blessing box, and I don't fill it up. I buy what I can. Usually, ironically, I either do 17 or 18 or 19 items, which is his age.
Yeah.
When he passed, how old he was, he had his 18th, and then it's just, I don't even count. It just happens.
Yeah,
And
yes.
that's, you know, it's something
I
I
love
do
that.
to honor him. My husband started a band in his name.
I love
James
that. I was
Band.
noticing that.
Yeah,
That's really great.
this is a very
They've
recent
got a
thing.
logo and everything.
Yes.
I'm so
Really
impressed.
awesome.
They have their
I
second
love
gig
that
coming
logo.
up. Yeah. We've given to Akron Children's. My husband, at his school, they don't have an adaptive playground equipment. So he's doing a sing to May 21st at Rock Springs Elementary. So I'll give it a plug.
Yay.
And they want to get enough money for equipment. It's very expensive.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
and they
love
want-
this.
Yeah, and they want to honor it in James's name, which is
Oh,
beautiful.
I
Like put a
love
plaque up, I
this.
think.
Yes.
So that's nice.
amazing.
That's beautiful.
We do have the scholarship. My dad started that in his name at camp because camp has gotten very expensive, like
Yeah.
everything.
Where's you said Campability?
Yeah, special kids.
Oh, okay. That's their camp they do in the summer.
Yes, and James actually attended that camp that last summer of his life, and it was like that was his heaven. That was with his people.
Yes.
He loved camp. It was, oh my goodness, and they let us come in last summer, and they had a speaker, and it was sweet.
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
You know, sometimes I just like do, because I've read a lot of grieving books, and it's like when you are really, really thinking grief, do something positive, put some positivity out in the world. And sometimes I'll just do random things, and in my son's honor. And,
Yes.
because the world needs more love.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we do that, yeah. There's probably other things, but that's what I can think of. We always took him to the dancing lights.
Oh,
his
yeah.
birthday
Oh, I bet
party.
he
Yeah.
would. Yes.
We've done that the past 2 years with family. He loved, James's favorite thing to eat of all was vanilla custard. He called it Nella, so we always get that. So we try to do things to honor him and help others, which,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Because we were blessed so many, like the money we would get when he was in the hospital between friends, family, church, the prayers.
Oh, yes.
I've taken some food to some church folks because we had that blessing. I feel like even subbing is kind of a minister.
It is. It is.
It's like I tell people when I have a special needs child come sit in my lap, I don't invite them. I think they feel safer. I mean, I know they
Yes.
do.
Yes.
And it's
Probably
just
so.
like it. I
Well,
remember.
You're not standoffish to them.
Right.
You're
they
comfortable
come and
around
they
them.
sit in my lap, and it just helps my bereaving soul.
It
And it's been a
does.
long time since I've had a child in my lap.
Yes.
And it brings me joy.
It does.
your mama heart.
It does. It helps heal your mama heart. You know, that's, and I think too, I think they can sense that you're approachable. I think they can sense that
Absolutely.
you're not threatening. I think they sense that you are, you know, hey, we're cool.
They're like, hey, we like her.
We like her. Yes, exactly.
She's a good one.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, there's times when I go home and I'm sitting in my driveway and the grief catches me and I'm like, I'll never hold my own boy again.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love loving other children, but I'll never love a child as much as I love my son, obviously.
No.
So
That's
there's always the flip side with grief too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that's the part of it that we learn how to figure out, as we go. Do we figure it out? I don't think it, like you said, it doesn't go away. It's not one of those things that ever just, I don't have that anymore. No, it's never like that. Mm-hmm. Especially when you've just given your life. I mean, really, in a lot of ways, you willing to sacrifice everything for somebody and love them so much and just really build your life around them.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden for them to not be there, it is a huge.
That's a shock.
It's a huge, it's a shock, and it's a huge spot in your heart and it's always going to be there. But I love that, you guys are so positive. I love that. That's fabulous. That's really the way I feel like you really do spread the love around with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's interesting because my husband and I were in counseling. We found a good counselor, but it's been about 18, 19 months since James passed. And probably like 2026, I'd say roughly. I finally and I know it's still not been that long, but some of the dust has settled.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have finally felt comfortable saying to my husband and very sacred friends and family, gosh, James deserved better physically in this life.
Right.
Or gosh, this.
Right.
And it took me I felt like a long time to get to, and maybe it wasn't long, but took me a while to get to even comfortable say that to my husband.
Yeah.
And we've been married, it'll be 25 years in June. We're going to Hawaii.
Oh, good.
That's fabulous.
fantastic.
And there's a story behind that. James's favorite color was boo. He'd say blue. He was blind, but it was interesting. At Christian Elementary, his pre-K teacher, he comes to us in bluebirds. Like, fall break, my husband saw a blue jay out in our yard.
Uh-huh.
So my husband and I took a vacation because we're all about traveling now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We went to Charleston. That's where we honeymooned. And there was a blue jay right outside our hotel. And we were like, oh, that's Birdie James, right?
Oh,
And I love history. And I've read like 30-something books since James. I'm trying to figure out what I like.
Yeah.
And I looked at my husband when we were in Charleston. I said, 25 years. Like, we feel very strongly that our marriage is God ordained. It wouldn't have survived
No,
31 surgeries and a death of a child.
Yeah.
And it's not been easy, especially that first year. And that's, it's hard. But anyway, still a lot to work on, but we're better. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you think? I've always wanted to see Pearl Harbor. My dad's a Vietnam vet. I don't know, just something. I said, what do you think about going to Hawaii? Like, 25 is a big stinking
It
deal.
is.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
So we sold James's handicap accessible van to a friend of ours. Her daughter's in a wheelchair. And we're going in June.
I love
We're going to be there for our
fantastic.
anniversary.
Oh,
So I know.
that's so good.
I'm so excited. And all the subbing has helped pay for that.
course,
Yeah, so
yes.
it's worth it, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it is.
It is. We're tired when we get home, but it's good.
That's kind of our. We'll be gone 9 days. The longest vacation either of us
wow.
had.
Yeah.
9 days.
I know.
Good job.
That's
Well
amazing.
done. Yay.
Because like our counselor now, it's interesting. He's lost a baby girl, and a child loss is child loss. I don't care if your kid was 10 days or 17.
Right,
yes.
It's the biggest loss in life.
And
I
also,
think.
like, my brother was 49. So, yeah.
Yeah.
He said, James is going to be up there smiling, seeing his mom
Yeah.
and daddy. Because I think
Yeah.
James would want us to enjoy each other. And my kind of thing, another thing about Honor James, I feel like I try to do things he couldn't physically do in this life.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Because then it's like vicariously it's happening for him too. I love this. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And I guess you could go to Hawaii in a wheelchair, but that makes me tired even thinking about it. Just with all of his conditions.
Sure,
sure.
But
Sure.
So that's our big exciting, so I'm really, really excited.
I love
That's
that.
so good. I'm so glad
And I think
you
it's a
do
good
that.
way to honor James and our marriage and stop and recognize
Yes.
not only we've survived this.
You have come a long way.
Yes.
A long
Oh my gosh.
way.
I've had several people. I don't know how. God, prayer. I've had on family members. I don't know how. Here's where I stand. James is our son. I wasn't given any other choice.
Sure.
God
Sure.
chose us.
Yes.
And people say, "Oh, God only give." No, God equipped us.
Yeah.
Because there's bad special needs parents. There's bad parents
Oh,
of
yeah.
other kids.
Yeah.
But
That's
no,
right.
he was our son. He is our son. We weren't given that that was our call. God gave us James.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He was your gift.
That's
Yeah.
all I can say.
He was your gift.
There was no other choice in
And
the
you
matter
think about,
for us.
you would never be the person that you are today without him.
Without him,
They mold us.
Yeah.
They help create, they help create us. We think that we're the teachers, but I think you said it best. He's the best
He's the
teacher.
teacher, yeah.
They're the teachers. The people that you have in your life who really depend on you, they teach you so much.
Well, the night he passed to the hospital, Vanderbilt got to know us really well. They said, a lot of kids like James get in the system, they end up in homes. They're like, you all's relationships just eludes James. Not only does he have one parent that loves him and would lay down the world for him, he has two.
Yes.
And you guys, some of these kids never leave a hospital bed or a bed.
Right.
Yeah.
You all have loved him. You've taken him places. He's had adventures.
Yeah.
You advocate they're like, you're some of the strongest advocates we've ever met. And that makes me go, I did my job right.
You did it.
You absolutely
You did it,
Yeah.
Mama.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did it.
And
You
I tell
did it.
people, at the end of my life, when I'm standing in front of a judge, I can say I was one heck of a mom. I don't know about everything else, but I did that well.
I may have fallen short in
Oh.
A, B, and C, but guess what? I got an A+ in this one.
I joke about that, but it's kind of serious. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I joke about things darkly sometimes.
That's good.
I think that's awesome.
Do you think that the impact? I think I always think about the impact. That was one of the reasons I wanted to go into special ed in the first place, was impact. We talk about the different things, the different ways you can help out, the different ways you can be. And now I feel like the impact of him in not just your life, but all these other people. It's just such a beautiful thing. Like I said, they're teachers. They teach us on how to really live our best life. I mean, you think about it, the things he enjoyed, vanilla and, the blue and everything, the things that they enjoy, it really does help us understand that it is the simple things in life that are really give the greatest joy.
Yeah.
We really need to focus in on those beautiful moments.
They're so important.
They're so important. They're so important. And I'm so happy that you came to visit with us and to have this. I feel and I appreciate it so much. You have a beautiful story.
Thank you.
Beautiful family story. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for
Beautiful
sharing
family.
it with us.
And
We
thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much for sharing it. Thank you so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome.
So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, give us a holler.
Yep. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff.
We'll talk to y'all soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.